Suzuki unleashed a beast that not even they could control. The TL1000S. A wild, brutal V-twin with more character than stability. And so dangerous that they had to redesign it so it wouldn't kill its riders. This is the story of the bike that wanted to be a Ducati and ended up becoming a legend for its madness. Would you dare to tame it? In the mid-90s, the world of twin-cylinder sport bikes had an owner. Ducati with its elegant, refined, and brutal 916. It was Italian aristocracy on two wheels. Meanwhile, Honda was trying a more civilized and accessible version with the BTR 1000F Firestorm, or Super Hawk in America. A bike that combined power with ease of use, though without that European flair. And then, Suzuki arrived. But Suzuki wasn't the type to ask for permission. They wanted to put a V-twin on the street, sure, but in their own way. No smooth bikes or noble airs here. Their thing was to drop a beastly engine into a compact chassis, sell it at a bargain price, and let the rest be sorted out with your hands on the handlebars. So in 1997, the Suzuki TL1000S appeared, a naked bike that didn't ask for respect, it demanded it, loud and clear. With a compact, muscular design and a look that seemed straight out of a post-apocalyptic video game, the TL hit the scene like a ground-to-asphalt missile, a spec sheet that scared other spec sheets. A 90-degree V-twin engine, 996 cubic centimeters, double overhead camshaft, DOHC, liquid cooling, and 125 horsepower at 8,500 RPM. But the way it delivered that power was what really made it unforgettable. A torque of 105 Newton meters at 7,000 RPM with a curve so aggressive it felt like a roller coaster. A dry weight of 187 kilos. Yes, it was light, and that only made the problem worse. A 6-speed transmission with a wet clutch. It featured electronic fuel injection, which in 1997 was like having Wi-Fi in a toaster. A naked brutalist appearance. No fairing to soften its presence. It was cheaper than a Ducati, wilder than a Honda. The perfect combination to earn a complicated reputation, with some really eye-catching colors. Red, fury, yellow, you won't see me on the road until it's too late, and a green that looked like it just came out of a street fight. A design with personality and punishment included. The TL1000S came with an aluminum perimeter frame. It tried to tame the power and had a rear suspension with a rotary shock absorber that sounded futuristic until you hit a curve and understood why so many riders said never again. The passenger seat, on the other hand, was a factory joke, small, hard, and badly positioned. It was better for testing friendships than actually carrying someone. And yet, despite all that, it sold well because it was a Suzuki with a rebellious soul, superbike power, and an attitude that never apologized. The engine was a demon and the frame its accomplice. The Suzuki TL1000S didn't just look dangerous, it was. And the blame, or rather the credit, belonged to its engine. This 996 cubic centimeters V-twin was developed entirely by Suzuki. It wasn't a Ducati copy, nor a half-hearted answer to Honda. It was a declaration of war. The power delivery was brutal right from the bottom end. You didn't even need to hit 6,000 RPM for the rock and roll to start. At 3,000, it was already pushing with fury. And in second gear, you could feel the ground talking to you. It was like riding a bull that hated humans. The moment you twisted the throttle, the bike would leap forward like it was possessed. Looking for adrenaline without waiting for 10,000 RPM? Welcome to hell, Japanese license plate included. But that engine had an unexpected ally, the rear suspension. And this is where Suzuki's most innovative mistake comes into play, the rotary damper. What the hell is that? Well, instead of the typical vertical monoshock you see on 99% of bikes, Suzuki decided to experiment. They installed a rotary system, which was more compact and allowed them to make room for other components. In theory, it sounded spectacular. In practice, it was a different story. The problem was that this system would overheat. It couldn't dissipate heat like a conventional shock absorber. So after a few minutes of intense use, the internal oil would start cooking like tempura, and the performance would go straight to hell. The result? A rear end that stopped absorbing bumps properly, that bounced, that would suddenly get stiff or turn mushy. It was a crapshoot, and when that happened, right in the middle of a fast corner, the mechanical demon would show itself. The rear suspension would lose its composure just when the engine was pushing the hardest. The result? Violent handlebar shakes, also known as tank slappers, brutal front-end jolts that could throw off even experienced riders, even those with years of experience. And if you weren't ready, you'd go flying. That's how the dark legend of the TL1000S was born. A bike with more than enough power, an aggressive design, and a personality that could go from thrilling to terrifying in a matter of seconds. It was like having a dangerous ex, passionate, unpredictable, and totally capable of killing you if you underestimated her. In Europe, they nicknamed it Suzuki's Black Widow. There were reports of serious accidents. Tank slappers were common. The handlebars would shake violently without any warning. Magazines like MCM described it as a bike with a killer attitude. Even Suzuki itself acknowledged the problem and issued a recall in 1998 to install a steering damper as standard. Many mechanics and riders respected it and were afraid of it. It wasn't a bike for just anyone. It was like having a gorgeous partner, but one who was emotionally unstable. Hell had competition, but some bikes knew how to dance with the devil without falling apart. Even though it was a coffin on wheels, the TL1000S still had to face the competition. The Ducati 916 was the undisputed queen. Crazy expensive, sure, but refined, like a glass of red wine in an Italian museum. It had a design that looked like it was sculpted by the gods, and a chassis that responded as if it could read your mind. It wasn't just a bike. It was a cult object. The Honda VTR 1000 Firestorm, or Superhawk depending on the country, on the other hand, played at the opposite end of the spectrum. It was tamer, less powerful than the TL, but very easy to ride. Honda did what they always do. They chose safety over craziness, and that made it well-liked, even if it wasn't exciting. The Aprilia RSV 1000, which arrived in 1998, also joined the V-Twin Club, but with a distinct Italian touch. More electronics, more presence, more character. It was a real threat, but it showed up late to the party where the TL had already gone up in flames on its own. So Suzuki had to do something. Their TL1000C had earned a reputation as a Black Widow, and the market was already whispering in fear. So in 1998, they launched the TL1000R, a bike that wasn't just the same one with a fairing. It was a completely different beast, developed with the intention of competing in the World Superbike Championship. The R had a completely redesigned chassis, stronger, more rigid, with reinforcements everywhere. The rear subframe was also new, designed to handle the power without dancing, a dangerous tango in the middle of a turn. It gained 10 extra kilos compared to the TL1000S, yes. But in exchange, it offered much more stability, and you could feel it. Plus, it had a full aerodynamic fairing, which not only improved high-speed cornering, but also made it look like a GSXR from another dimension. The engine was the same 996 cubic centimeter block, but with some internal tweaks, different mapping, smoother power delivery, and a focus on providing usable power on the track. It also featured dual electronic fuel injection and huge radiators that looked like they came off a fighter jet. The problem? Despite all this effort, it never managed to replace the GSXR in the hearts of fans or in track results. In superbikes, the TL1000R never shined. Suzuki tried to get it into the World Championship with teams like Yoshimura and HMC Racing, but there were no major victories. And compared to rivals like the Ducati 996 or even the Japanese four-cylinders like the Yamaha R7 or the Honda RC45, the TL1000R felt like a half-baked project. It was better than the S, yes, more stable, more logical, easier to control. But the shadow of the TL1000 was already too long. The damage was done. Its reputation as a Black Widow was already a meme before memes even existed. And dealers couldn't convince customers with, hey, this one doesn't kill you. So the TL1000R faded into obscurity and was discontinued just a few years later in 2003. And that's how Suzuki's sporty V-twin adventure came to an end. A short, intense, and controversial saga with a taste of what could have been but wasn't.